Creator, who though hidden is the source of all life, power, and health, and the gift of the Creator of our ancestors, who have already paved the way, solved all the problems that we need to solve. All we have to do, call on them, call their names, invite them to join us. They'll be here. They will be with us. They will bless our efforts. We will never fail. But if we fail to remember them and call their name, invoke their presence, nothing that we do will go correct. Ashra. I really have a great honor tonight. And I broke all the speed limits to get here. Got the back of my car torn up. If you go out, you'll see. Somebody ran into the back of me, and my trunk won't close and everything. I was determined to get here because I love, admire, and respect Brother Ashra Kwesi so much. Tonight, we have someone who has really perfected as much as anybody, anywhere in the world, with courage, creativity, incredible intelligence, the art and the science of visual documentation. You know, there aren't many people in the world who can do that. And so to have someone who has scoured the whole world, gone to Kemet, I don't know how many times Brother Kwesi has been over there, but we've run into each other, and times when I'm not there, he's still over there, going 2 or 3 times a year. And he's been doing this work. Brother Kwesi is one of those people who has kept time in order. He knows where he is in time and where we are. That's the kind of orientation that we have here with Brother Kwesi. I heard him on Brother Askew's program the other day, and he was smoking in response to the questions that were being phrased, because you may go on to talk about one thing, but by the time those questions come, they're coming from all over the place. Every topic imaginable, and you got to give a credible rendering of yourself. And he was absolutely awesome. So it's a real honor, an extra special pleasure for me to have the opportunity to get back here just in time to introduce my brother, your Baba, one of the greatest Africans living, one of the greatest Africans who will continue to serve, one who will always tell us the truth, Ashra Kwesi.
With that great introduction by our Grandmaster teacher, Tajedi Asa Hilliard, I don't know what to say. He almost made me speechless. But I know I have to say something because you are here to listen and see what we have documented for you. But before I go on, I want to give recognition to our elders in the audience who walked before us, who've given their time and their struggle before us. I'm asking the permission to continue to speak.
Permission granted.
Thank you very much. Now keep in mind that we loved age when we were in our own society, our African society. I know in America we try to do everything we can to stay young. But of course, if you've been living a Ma'atian life in this life, and you've been telling the Makaru, as our ancestors would say, telling the truth to our brothers and sisters, then you know you have no problems about your age. You know you'll have a spiritual space in that next life. And I also want to give recognition for the brothers and sisters who've made this great church the shrine of the Black Madonna. Let's give them a great big hand, brothers and sisters. To the Honorable Brother Clay, who saw to it that we've got to start deifying our own babies. But we don't deify our own image. I mean, isn't that a beautiful image of the Black Madonna looking down on the first black child? I know when we walk and some people say, well, I don't want to come to that event because they're going to talk about all that black stuff. We're talking about the black stuff that was for the dawn of time. We're talking about the black stuff that came from the fallopian tube of the Nile Valley. Without that first black stuff, meaning first black man and woman, we wouldn't even have humanity on the planet Earth. So today I'm honored to come back to Atlanta to lecture to you on the Black Christ Conference. And we must give a great warrior who saw to it Brother Pierre Carson, who called me many times and even had other conferences. Let's give him a big hand, Brother Pierre Carson, who saw, he said, Brother Kwesi, the presentation that you have on Christianity, we've got to have the Black Christ Conference. Not only to talk about it, but to give visual documentation, as our Tajedi Asa Hilliard told us, that it's the Grand Masters, like Dr. Yosef Inyakinen that I heard at Long Beach State in the early 70s. Like you, I was also in the audience. I did not know a lot about African history. Of course, we were all going through the psychological gas chamber and the Eurocentric classroom. And Dr. Ben said a lot of powerful things that day, and I came up to him, I said, you said a lot of powerful things. I said, can you prove that? He said, I can take you back and I can show you. He said, but what we need are young soldiers like you to go back and do field research. At that time that I would travel back to Africa 14 years non-stop with that great Grand Master Tajedi, Dr. Yosef Inyakinen. Now going on 22 years of my life, studying the reliefs, being able to see where these people literally copied, plagiarized directly from African people to make up this European version of Christianity. Yes, I'm saying a European version of Christianity because African people were Christians before white folks were Christian. In fact, we were persecuted for being Christians in Africa, in North Africa, long before the Romans were even Christians. We're going to deal with that. But also we need to start to develop libraries in our home. We need to stop looking at the television telling us nothing but lies. And in some cases, brothers and sisters, the TV's getting bigger than this screen here. And a 12 by 12 living room. You don't need to see white folks that well. You don't need to see white folks that well. But after all, images shape our reality. So because we come from a visual literate documentation, I equally have to come with that. And we are on different levels, so I try to bring this information on different levels, brothers and sisters, especially dealing with religion. I mean, dealing with religion, you can really start a whole lot of fights with religion. But what we want to do is clean house. And we want to go down deep in our spiritual subconscious, because in our spiritual subconscious, white folks have created something called spiritual enslavement. What is spiritual enslavement? Spiritual enslavement is when the enemy became the deity in the spiritual subconscious of our mind. That means white folks made himself God down into the psychic of black people. So we could not see that Murray, that love for each other, because we could not see that divine creator that our ancestors knew by many names emanating from each and every one of us as black people, because the enemy became the deity in the spiritual subconscious of our mind. So, of course, I got to come with a visual documentation to show you how this took place. Now, some people ask, Brother Kwesi, are you going right into the Kemetic science? No, I can't go directly into the Kemetic science. We're going to deal with the Kemetic science. But what we want to do is to deal chronologically so we can see what has taken place and deal with it step by step. What was the effect when they came into Africa? Christianity that existed in the Nile Valley. Also, what happened when Europeans got a hold of Christianity? And after all, what kind of Christians did they make us when they brought us over on the good ship Jesus, the Grace of God, and the Holy Mary, the name of their slave ships? Made us a totally different Christians. We want to deal with that. We want to deal with the images behind closed doors in the cellar where the Pope secretly worships the Black Madonna. I have the visual documentation. We're going to see it. And then we want to go deep into Kemet to show, brothers and sisters, that this spiritual concept existed for thousands of years. The Christ had nothing to do with a man. It had to do with the spirit that our ancestors called it in ancient times the Ka. And then when the Gnostics got it, it was called the Charis. And during the Greco-Roman period, they turned it into the Christ. We're going to deal with what our ancestors left us. We're going to do a comparative analytical analysis because we want you to put this in your own mental court of law. We've heard white folks out of the story, is that right? What we want to do in this particular presentation on the Black Christ Conference is to see our African ancestor side of the story. And then you put it in your own Ma'atian court of law. And then you judge it for yourself. I'm not here for you to believe what I say. I did not come for that. We'll keep that up to the Negro preacher, not the liberating preacher, fleecing you for all your money in the name of God. What we want you to do is to think. Because once you start thinking about what has happened, what has taken place, then you will be able to see that spiritual light through the needle's eye that will come to you in a rays of light. That's what we want to do, brothers and sisters. Give me a little minute to power up the presentation.